When we were farming and not knowing, exactly what to do because we came out of the farm crisis, I was a friend of the mayor of Laverne, and he brought up the fact that they were considering building an ethanol plant, or they've been approached for doing an ethanol plant in Laverne, Minnesota. And I thought, well, I need to learn more about this because trying to raising a family on a farm with the commodity prices, it just wasn't that easy. So I took a interest in the value-added concept of ethanol. We were, farming and raising pigs and trying to make $10 a head on pigs and not being able to pay the fuel bill. I was looking around, but it wasn't just ethanol. I was looking at all new generation co-ops because I came from the co-op side, and how do you add value? So I had gone to the University of Minnesota, and I had studied a lot of books on value-added co-ops. For instance, Blue Diamond Almonds, Florida Orange Growers, where the farmers own the product from start to finish. And the concept of ethanol and using our own corn and making our own fuel, I said, well, why can't the farmers own that from start to finish? And so in my research and looking around and thinking this is a perfect model to create economic opportunities for farmers, jobs for our kids, because we were exporting all of our corn and our young people, and our farm was right next to a mainline railroad track, and I saw 14 unit trains of corn going south every single day. And I thought, hey, we don't need to do this any longer. So that's how my interest peaked and why I took the lead in helping begin the ethanol plant in Laverne. So when the interest of being in the ethanol industry was quite new, and so how do you really put a project together so everybody benefits from it? And so we put together kind of a think tank of 5 farmers, and we started working on the idea, and we decided that, well, if everybody would invest so much money, they could deliver so much corn. And so, well, how does that work? And we put it together with a corn delivery agreement. But how can we be fair to farmers that are 50 miles away as to ones 5 miles away? So we had freight rates and everything else so everybody could benefit from it. And so everybody knew very well that we were going to all share in the profits or share in the losses equally, and we were in uncharted territory at that time. And as it turned out, we were struggling to raise the money. It took us 2.5 years to raise a portion of the money to build the plant, but we also had backing from the state of Minnesota. So if we once knew the plant operated and got going, and we put product into the pipeline and sold it, the state of Minnesota would rebate some money back to us through a Minnesota Producer Incentive Program. And that was really the catalyst to get people to invest to work on this project. The ethanol industry being so new, and we were like plant number 3 or 4 in the industry, and that was back in 1995. And the idea came up, and it was not really well received. We had a few dedicated people, and we would basically meet one-on-one with people. But just to show you how early on it was, after we'd raised money for 1.5 years, we were at a equity meeting, and somebody said, well, can I see your prospectus? What's a prospectus? What do you mean? You have to have a legal thing to go out and raise money. So we were fortunate enough to have to do a rescission offer everybody their money back, go spend money on attorneys, which should turn out to be awesome in the long run. But at the time, we were so new, we didn't know what we had to do. And then we engaged some co-op attorneys and put together a complete offering document along with delivery agreements and everything else. And so we came online. We finally raised the money at middle of 97. Took a year to build the plant. We came online in October 98. The ethanol plant was so a big project in our area, and so people that were involved in the ethanol plant financially and stuff started driving by the plant. Their kids would put in applications to their children to work there. I mean, they were growing up, they were looking for opportunities, and it was really quite exciting. And we were making a product, and we were making our own raw materials into a product. And it was even of such interest that the high school biology teacher had a curriculum just based on making ethanol, and then the kids would get corn from us and make it in their lab, and then we would test it at the ethanol plant and whatever team won would get a prize. So it was phenomenal, the amount of interest we had, and the question didn't come up, what about this or that? It was, what can we do next? So it was a positive attitude that was needed to happen in a small rural community. When we put a project of that size and scale in a community, everybody benefits. The local hardware store, the truck drivers, the people delivering the grain. We also worked with the smaller area elevators, and they delivered corn. So they actually also invested into the project. So they saw the financial benefits along with the farmers. And of course, the implement dealer at that point was pretty happy because we were starting to sell more equipment. And so it just kind of snowballed downhill. So the multiplier effect was quite significant as to how that turned out in the community. Because of the earliness of the ethanol plant, there were other communities that wanted to get involved in value-added agriculture. And so I was approached, people from different areas, and even to the point that I was doing some work with some of the larger conventions and speaking at value-added conferences and Farm Foundation ads, showing some of the positive aspects, which led to helping develop a lot of other, I wouldn't say develop so much as just give other communities the expertise and the knowledge and the courage to go out and they can do it too. And so our members also wanted to expand, and so we helped not only various other ethanol plants get started, but we invested in them too. When I've been growing up and watched a lot of things happen, and we watched the swine industry evolve, we saw everything else evolve. But what was happening was all economic leakage. Everything got away from us. But the ethanol industry was just the opposite. We retained all the profits in the community from not only processing our corn, but we were bringing value added back to the farming community. I had no idea the impact that this would have in the Midwest in agriculture. You drive up and down any highway now, you see newer equipment, you see modern farm buildings, you see newer machine sheds. I don't think anybody even had a dream that had such a powerful impact. Otherwise, we'd still be back to being paid not to grow corn. That's the way it was since 1950, because American agriculture, there's the saying, a curse of American abundance. We always overdid it. If we wouldn't have had the ethanol industry, I don't know where we would be marketing that corn today. So Laverne started out as a small plant, and we did quite well. We were very efficient. But as time went on, we've seen plants get bigger and more efficient. We've seen the need to be able to move a lot of product quicker. So we saw, loop tracks, rail lines, unit trains, all of that being developed in that size and scale went on. We're also seeing just something we didn't anticipate, but we were glad to see happen, was a massive expansion of the livestock industry around an ethanol plant. In our area there, I think some of the most disappointed people in the U.S. would be the cattle feeders and even some of the swine feeders if the ethanol industry went away. And that was something we didn't imagine. When we first started, we were even talking about using distillers' grains as a fertilizer because we didn't know if we had a market for it. Now, fast forward 30 years, it's just, we can never make enough distillers' feed for the livestock demand. The thing I was the most proud of was taking farmers from being tax takers into taxpayers. And by that, I'm being a little facetious, but we were at that point didn't have any income streams. And when you look now, farmers are doing quite well. And I'm very proud of the success from that side. But if you define success, it isn't all money and financial rewards. It's what they've done for the community and what they've given back. So we're seeing towns grow. We're seeing communities grow. We're seeing young people get involved. We're seeing high-end jobs where people can raise their families in small towns. Those are the things that I'm proud of. One of the members said, I have nothing to lose, so he signed up for some of those credit cards where he got $5,000 for nothing, and he put $10,000 into the plant. He's still farming today. The other one that's a very touching story, and I still have memorabilia from that in my office, is one of our first hires with an operator was a single mom. and she was struggling, but she finally had a job being an operator that paid well. And her son went out to a restaurant, and their son drew a tractor on the back of the placemat, and he put on the top, "We need farmers." And that's still hanging on my desk today. So those things are, you can't put a price on that. Well, when you look at the ethanol industry and where we've gone, to me, and I'm not a young man, but I think we're just getting going. There's more we can do in rural America. And we're back to low commodity prices and stuff again. So we just have to get more innovative and look at new ideas and how we can handle different things. And at the end of the day, we're cleaner, greener, cheaper, and we do need to do more work on getting our messaging out and be more on offense.